Hello everyone, this is Dr. Shilpi Khandelwal, Professor Jagannath University, Jaipur. So today we are going to take up this important topic of economics, that is production function with two variable inputs. So as I've told you in my earlier sessions also, that production function means the function or the process of the conversion of input into output, and I have told you about the factors of production also, that are basically land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship, and nowadays technology too, right? So these are the factors of the production on which the production or output depends. As far as what kind of output you are going to produce, or what quantity of output you are going to produce, depends on three factors. One, relationship between input and output, how much input is required to produce that output. Second, what are the prices of the inputs. And the third thing, the managerial efficiency, means how the whole process is planned, supervised, directed and controlled, the whole production process. On that also depends the level of the output you are going to produce. Production is the function of labor and capital. I have told you in my earlier session that if we look at the factors of the production, these are the factors of the production, that is land, labor, capital and entrepreneurship. If we look at these four factors closely, then we can easily interpret that labor can't be substituted by another factor, capital can't be substituted by another factor. Land, as far as considered, it can be purchased by the money, or we can say the capital. So land can be managed by capital, so we can put land aside, or land is given. We can say that land is given, whatever the amount of land is given, you can't change the land, the quantity of the land. Both the ways, if you think about the land, one thing, you can manage the land if at all it is available through capital. Another thing, land is given, land is limited quantity which is given on earth, so you can't change the land, quantity of land by your own will or wish. So land can remain a factor which is constant or which is given. And another thing is entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship too is a factor which is given, which is the inherent characteristics of an individual, how to take that risk, how to plan, how to organize all the inputs for the production of the output, so and how to manage the whole process. So this efficiency, or this capacity, or this kind of risk taking, or this kind of planning, organizing, is inherent in an individual. So entrepreneurship can also, we can say it is constant, or we can't change it by any means. So the only thing which you can variate here is, one is labor and another is capital. So we will now today, in the last session I have covered production function with one variable input, in which only one factor, that is labor, is we have varied the factor labor, and we have seen that how the production or the output changes according to the changes in the number of labor. Now in today's session we will be looking for a long run production function, in which we can change or vary the labor also and the capital also. So we are at the same time, we are varying the labor also and the capital also, and we are looking at how the output is functioning according to the changes in the labor and capital. So we will assume that the quantity or the output is a function of labor and capital. Production is a flow concept because you can only measure it over a period of time. So it is a flow concept. So this production function can be divided into two types of production function. One is short run, in which only one input is variable and other input kept constant, and we have seen that there is a law of variable proportion. I have covered this in my earlier session. Now today we are going to take up long run production function, in which we are varying all the inputs means the labor and the capital, both the input will be varied, and we will see that how the output is changing or behaving according to the changes in the labor and capital at the same time. So now it is called as law of returns to scale. So long run production function is law of returns to scale. This concept I have already explained. There are three concepts in the production. One is total product, another is average product, third is marginal product. Total product means the total quantity of the production you have done out of the given inputs, right? Average product means the total product divided by the number of units of input employed, right? And the marginal product means the changes in the total product vis-a-vis the changes in any factor of input. If you change labor, how the output is changing according to the per unit of labor, or if you are changing capital, how the output is changing according to per unit of capital. That is marginal product. So before we are moving further to the law of returns to scale, that is the long run production function, let us first understand isoquant. Now, what are isoquant? So as we decipher the word isoquant, iso means same or equal, quant means quantity or product. So basically, if we say isoquant means equal product, and because isoquant is a curve, so that we can say equal product curve. So in the production, isoquant means the equal product curve. Now, how the equal product curve is achieved? If we vary both the factors labor and capital, then we are looking for the combinations of the labor and capital which gives the same level of output. So if we have those combinations, so those combinations are called as equal output or equal product combinations. And if we plot this equal product combination on an x-axis and y-axis, taking labor on one axis and the capital on another axis, the curve we achieved is called as isoquant or isoquant curve or equal product curve. Now let us understand by this example. If we have labor and capital combinations and A, B, C, D, E, there are 5 combinations. These all 5 combinations are giving you the same level of output, say X level of output they are giving to you. Now what are these combinations? You can use 1 unit of labor and 12 units of capital and it will give you X output, or you can use 2 units of labor and 8 units of capital, it will give you X output. Another combination is 3 units of labor and 5 units of capital, it will give you X output. 4 units of labor, 3 units of capital, it will give you again the X output, and 5 units of labor and 2 units of capital again give you the X output. So all these 5 combinations are giving you the same output or the equal output. So these combinations are called as equal output combinations. Now if we plot this equal output combination on x-axis and y-axis, taking labor on x-axis and capital on y-axis, labor is denoted by L in economics and capital is denoted by K in economics. So K and L, K means capital, L is labor, or if we plot these combination on K and L, taking L on x-axis and K on y-axis, then we will achieve this kind of curve. Now this curve is called as isoquant. Okay, so now you got the concept of isoquant. What are the properties of isoquant? The isoquant are always downward sloping. You can see it here. You can see it is always downward sloping from upwards to downwards. Why it is always downward sloping? Because if you increase one factor, then the another factor is automatically reduced, and if you increase another factor, then first factor would be reduced. So basically you are using the quantity in the combination, that more of one factor would require the less of another factor, and more of less of one factor will require more of another factor. So this is why it is always downward sloping. Another is higher isoquant represents larger output. You can see if you have 3 isoquant, Q1, Q2 and Q3, so each higher isoquant will represent higher level of output. Lower isoquant will represent lower level of output. No 2 isoquant can intersect each other. If the 2 isoquant, just imagine, if the 2 isoquant are intersecting with each other, then there must be a point where the higher output and the lower output will be produced with the same level of input, and practically it is not feasible or possible that you get the same level of output from the higher level of input also and from the lower level of input also. So that's why the no 2 isoquant will intersect each other at any point of time. Then isoquant are convex to the origin. As you can see, it flows from left to right, and these kind of curves, factors which goes from left to right, downward sloping, are convex to the origin. Okay, and there are two kind of isocant. One is linear isocant, another is input-output isocant. So linear isocant means both the factors are perfect substitute of each other, that like say labor and capital are both perfect substitute of each other, and you can attain the production with only one factor 2, and you can attain the production with the combination of both the factors 2. So these are called as linear isocant, perfect substitution between the factors of the production. Now the second is input-output isocant, means both the factors are complementary to each other. You can't achieve a level of output with 0 of one factor. You have to have both the factors present at any point of time to produce a level of output. So basically input-output means the factors are complementary to each other, and if you have capital, then you require labor also to act upon it, and if you have labor, then you require capital also to act upon it. That is called as input-output isocant. Then there is one another thing you must have noticed when I have told you about the equal product curve, that is the marginal rate of technical substitution. Now what is it, marginal rate of technical substitution? I will explain it with the help of this example. These are the 5 combinations A, B, C, D, E, which gives you the equal product. Now if you look at these combination, that means 1 unit of labor, 12 units of capital, X level of output, 2 unit of labor, 8 units of capital, X level of output, 3 and 5 will give you X level of output, 4 and 3 again will give you the X level of output, 5 and 2 will give you the same level of output. Now these all combinations will give you the same level of output. Now if you watch it closely or observe it closely, then you must have observed that you are actually replacing capital by labor one by one. You are increasing the unit of labor one by one, and you are replacing it with capital. Initially you require 10 units of capital and 1 unit of labor. When you increase 1 unit of labor, you have replaced 4 units of capital in lieu of 1 unit of labor. Another, you can see that when you further increase 1 unit of labor, then you have replaced 3 units of capital. When you have 4 units of labor, you have replaced 2 units of capital, and when you have 5 units of labor, then you have replaced 1 unit of capital. Now if you observe how much you are replacing capital by labor by capital, then you can see 4, 3, 2, 1, and the rate is diminishing, means initially the rate is higher to replace the labor for capital, and as we go on increasing the labor, the rate of substitution is declining. This is